All right, now this is the fun part. Your horse's love language. How we can build that rapport and that connection with our horses. So we've got 5 here: food, protection, body contact, socialization, and vocal cues, good boy, etc. Good girl, because we've got girls and boys. So timestamp your horse's love language: food, protection, body contact, socialization, and vocal cues. All right, I'm about to go on a bit of a rant about food, so stay with me. So often I hear people say, oh, my horse just loves me for my food. Or don't give your horse food because they will mob you and they won't respect your boundaries. Now, for me, food is one of the biggest socializing and bonding. Sarah read about food. One of the biggest human ways of socializing and bonding. Our first way that we connect with our babies is through breastfeeding or bottle feeding, is through food. They look to us for food resources as security. We go out to dinner with our loved ones to catch up over a meal. We have people over for a barbecue. We go out with people for drinks. We go out for picnics. The biggest, and this is so important at the moment with us in social isolation, what are we looking to go out and do? We're looking to go out and have a coffee date. We're looking to go out and have a lunch date. We're looking to have people over for a barbecue. We're looking to go out for a picnic. The way that we bond is over food. So why can't your horse bond with you over food? My favorite thing to do with Fiddy is to throw him a biscuit of hay and go out and sit with him while he eats. That's not him bribing me for food or mugging me for food. That's me spending quality time with him while he eats in a bonding and socializing way. My favorite thing about competitions wasn't going out and competing. It was sitting with my horse next to the float, sharing my lunch with them, getting a burger from the canteen and a cup of chips and giving them the bits of bread and the carrot and whatnot out of my burger. That was the favorite part about competitions, was the time that I actually got to spend with my horse. And sharing a meal is part of social interactions and bonding experiences. So food is, even though our horses are always mugging us for food and asking for more food, food is such an important social interaction for us to have with our horses. Yes, we need to set boundaries about it. Yes, we need to make sure that they don't frisk us and demand us of treats, and they don't push us and push our boundaries and our expectations and whatnot. But for a lot of horses, the first pathway to that connection is food and food security. This is a conversation that we've already had in the group where one of our members was talking about her horse. The only time that he kind of gives a bit of a no is if she's trying to rug him while he's eating, but he's fine to rug without the food. And so you dig into that, and she expressed that previous to her having him, he was in a herd of 7 other horses where food was scarce and he had to fight for his food. Food security is such an important aspect of our horses' security and in the development of feeling safe and secure within a relationship. So being able to provide your horse with that routine feed and knowing where their next meal is coming from and knowing that they're going to have full stomachs is part of creating a rapport and a relationship and trust with your horse. Yes, sometimes you can be the crazy cookie lady, as Sarah likes to call herself. But it's also, that in itself is a bridge to connecting with your horse and finding ways of working with them to motivate them. So the next thing that we talk about in our horse's love language. So um, I should just say that the reason why our horse's love language is here as a topic is it came up, in one of the first few workshops that we were doing of how we can emotionally connect with our horses. And we were saying, not all horses seem to like the same thing. Some horses seem to like a connection in one form, whereas other horses seem to like a connection in another form. And I was like, it's kind of like the love languages, like if I feel love by you giving me things, and the person that I'm in a relationship feels loved by spending time with them, and so we don't meet those needs, then there's a friction in that connection because we don't feel loved. So this is why it kind of came up with our horses, is that if we're not meeting our horse on that level of where they feel that appreciation for us, then that's where that friction in that connection can happen. One of our students and one of our members in the group, this was a real eye-opener for her because she really wanted a cuddly horse that wanted her to love on her and show she wanted that physical contact. That was our member's love language, but her horse is very stoic and is uncomfortable with that physical contact. And so she was able to bridge that gap with food. But she had always been told, food is bad. We can't get our horses to work with us through food motivation. What we typically get taught in the horse industry is don't let your horse eat, like all of those, food is bad scenarios. So she didn't see food as a way of connecting with her horse, so she wasn't able to meet her horse at that place where they could start a connection. And so once she started playing around with food, they were able to bridge that gap and start to deepen that connection because she was able to start getting her little mare to start looking for her, and her stoic behavior and her little bit of friction and disconnect started to melt away when she, food is so good. It gives you so many happy hormones, especially the chocolate cookies. Obviously, we're not giving our horses chocolate cookies. We're giving Katie the chocolate cookies. But it releases those happy hormones, and that's what our love language is how we interact with our horses that release those happy hormones that make us want to play with us. We've got two ways of working with our horses. We've got our negative reinforcement, that is making them move away from things that they don't want, and we've got our positive reinforcement, which is making them move towards things that they do want, and the things that they do want are based around happy hormones that are released from the brain, like dopamine and the other ones. It's too late in the night for me to remember what they are. our loved one, what is it, oxytocin and whatnot. So these happy hormones that are released from us meeting our horses where they are at within where they want to connect is how we start breaking down those walls that they've built up around themselves as a way of protecting themselves, their defense mechanisms. I work with mine through clicker training. She nudges my bag, but will not mug me. Yeah, and we've got our training because we do use a lot of, we talk about like treat training and positive reinforcement and whatnot. So we've got our training on do not frisk me. So protection, back to where we were at after a couple of food rants there. I must be hungry. Protection is our horse's love language. When we can show up for our horse and offer that protection, then they can start bringing those walls down and connecting with us. So with Fiddy, it was me like going out and being there for him when there's things that were in his paddock that were scary. For Sarah with Custard, she was in a situation with Custard where he was feeling really intimidated trying to get past a bigger horse to get out into the paddock, and he's more on the spooky side. So he was in a little tiz. Hi, Lisa. We're just talking about Custard and Reacher. He was in a little tiz about how he was possibly going to get past this horse. And, you know, those horses in those environments, they tend to just panic and run over the top of you. But Sarah had so diligently been working through our training philosophy with Custard, and instead of panicking and just reacting and potentially hurting himself and others, he looked to Sarah for that reassurance. What do I do? How do I deal with this situation? And Sarah was really easily and quickly able to pick up on that cue that he was stressed and that he needed support, and she was able to jump in and direct him through that so that he could feel safe in getting past the bigger horse that he was feeling uncomfortable with. And so this is a way that we can break down those walls with our horses and get that deeper connection by offering them protection and security. So body contact, so that's our physical contact, our touch. And as you work with your horse with these love languages, these ways of connecting with them, you'll find that you may start with a big main one that your horse really likes, but as you break those walls down, you'll find others. And so food was a big one for me to open that pathway of connection with Fiddy, and so was protection. But what's been really nice is that recently he's really looking for that physical connection and that touch. And so I've just go down and I massage his face and he wraps his head around me. And you know, this love language isn't just for our horses, it's for us as well. It's to make like our hearts feel full just as much as it is for our horses. And that, you know, they give back. They want you to feel that just as much as we want them to feel that connection. But we've got to break those protective and defensive walls down first so that they feel safe enough to let us in. And we've got to do the same. You know, if we're going down to the paddock and we're disconnected because we're thinking about all of the things going on in our lives, then we've got lots of walls and barriers to entry in ourselves. So you've got to be able to be there with them so that they can have this conversation with you. So body contact is the third love language with our horse. Some of our horses can be really funny about body contact, and it can take a bit for that to open up with them. And then some of our horses, it's their most favorite thing. Sarah currently has a horse down at the paddock that knows that she gives out butt scratches and will line her up with her butt and say, here, scratch my butt, scratch my butt, scratch my butt. He's got a butt scratcher. I love those horses. Show us a picture. I want to meet your butt scratchers. So socialization. So this is, you know, that interaction that we are having with our horses. We can use it as a positive reinforcer and a motivator that they go back to their herd after they, you know, when we're working, one of our things is to finish on a good note, feeling like you could have done more. And then that is encouraging our horses to keep trying, and we reward the try, not the expectations. And so there's a few ways that we can reward the try, and the big one is that they get turned out to their herd mates. So using their socialization is a good one for the getting the happy hormones that encourages them to work with us. But then we can also have the human horse relationship socialization. So one of the things that I like to do with Fiddy is to go down with a cup of chamomile tea and we share a tea together. Yes, I might sound like the weirdo hippie, but everybody is telling me that I need to embrace it because you're all here to have a connection as well. And, it is these like weird, quirky things that we find out that our horses love doing. That's how we start that connection in that relationship. One of Fiddy's most favorite things is to have a cup of chamomile tea with me, get some head massages, and go and chase the ball around. And then also go out on adventures. He loves leaving the paddock. Stormy loves socialization, of his having his own human as well. Yeah, there's some horses, that really do look for that relationship. And again, this is another situation where we can be missing the cues of them seeking that connection. But also, we've got to be a human that they're looking to have a relationship with as well. It's taken Sarah a good couple of months, I would even say now, for Stormy to start seeing Sarah as her human. And a lot of 9 weeks, a lot of that pathway has been about consent and opening the pathway of communication. And that then validates to Stormy that, she is a person that he wants. And physical contact, like Sarah's been very diligent in getting his body ready to be ridden, and has also been doing massaging with him. And so we're getting, different ways of him having that disconnect, not knowing who she is, to bringing him around to seeing, oh, that's my human. I'm going to go to them because they give me the cookies and the massages and the chamomile tea, and they play with the soccer ball with me. So, these are the quirky ways and the fun ways that we can open up this relationship and start this connection with our horses. It doesn't have to be, you have to catch your horse and he has to stand still at the tie rail and be perfectly behaved in every situation. When we start having a connection with our horse, they don't want to hurt us, and sometimes they need help. We can give them the tools so that they cope better, so that then when they do get horses are still going to get a fright. But if we're their human, they get a fright and they don't go over the top of us. And it's not because we're scarier than what they're scared of. It's because they just don't want to go over the top of us because they don't want to hurt us. So this is kind of the where we're coming from with opening up that connection and delving into where your horse can enjoy your company. So another good one is our vocal cues. So our horse can associate our vocal cues with like a release of pressure. So say if they're doing something well and you say good boy or good girl, and then they get a break from what they're doing, then they get those happy hormones, they get chuffed in themselves that they've done a good job, and that expectation of work has gone away temporarily. And I literally have horses that I've broken in that nicker to me when we've finished our workout session, because the way that I like to ride them is in a way that makes their body feel good. And if we can get them learning in a way that makes learning fun, and training and ridden in a way that makes movement feel good, then our horses do enjoy it. They do enjoy work. They do enjoy the mental stimulation. When we understand how positive reinforcement creates the flow of those happy hormones, like they get it for task achievement, which is from work. They get it from relationship and oxytocin, which is the connection that we talk about, working together. Like all of these happy hormones are associated with achieving things, and we can create those achievements when we're working them. And so vocal cues and using our voices in a way that is positive is part of that.